YouTube. Hello again, Rick Grimes for President here, bringing you another Walking Dead review video. And this one is a review video on The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 7, Live, or Dead Weight. Sorry, that was last week's episode, Live May was. And wow, what an episode this was again. Another governor-focused, governor-centered episode. So I hope you guys didn't dislike it too much because I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love episodes that center on one character for the whole time. It's hard for The Walking Dead to get the emotions and the stories of every single character because there's so many characters on the show that we want to know more about. And I think that them choosing the governor as the character that they do this with to give him 2 single episodes to himself was amazing. Hold on one second. Oh. Sorry about that. I thought somebody knocked on my door. Anyways, I just got done filming CBTV episode 2 with Zach, so that'll be up probably before this video because I think it's actually uploading right now as I'm making this video. So that'll be a little bit of a change for CBTV to come up before. So make sure to watch that. But let's jump right into it. Like I said, another governor-focused episode, and the opening scene of this episode was so awesome. Again, it was the relationship between the governor and Penny, not Penny, Megan. She's basically Penny, Megan, and he's talking to her. They're still playing chess, and it's her turn to go. And they kind of have this little speech to go back and forth where she's asking him a lot of questions, and he begins to kind of delve into his past and start talking about some father issues that he had before, and this kind of really brings up some conversation, and it was such an awesome scene. And at the end, Megan ends up finally making her move, and she tells the governor, "It's your turn now. It's your turn to make a move." And the governor basically thinks about it for a second and says, "I'm thinking about it." And he says, "Okay, it's time to make my move." And this is where I think the governor snapped back into the governor. I know some of you guys probably had some hope for him, had some hope that he was gonna be a changed man and be better. And it's kind of funny if you thought that, because he's not a changed man at all. He's still the governor. He's still ruthless, and we saw that in this episode. So this is the episode where I think he flips his lid and he snaps for good. So the governor at the end of the last episode, he sees Martinez, and I wasn't too sure if Martinez was gonna help him out or whatever, but we find out that Martinez ends up actually helping him out, and he doesn't really have a grudge against him. Martinez still likes the governor. He still is still buddies with him, and we find out in this episode that the other guy, the black guy that was with Martinez and the governor whenever the governor took out all the Woodbury people, actually died. Martinez actually killed him at some point in time because he was just not the same as what Martinez explained it to be. So the governor goes. This episode really reminded me of season 1. I don't know if it reminded you guys of season 1, but there were RVs everywhere. There were so many characters that looked and acted like characters from season 1. The 2 brothers, Mitch and Pete, were kind of like Daryl and Merle in a way. There was kind of an old guy with a fishing hat on that reminded me of Dale. Martinez kind of reminded me of Shane in this episode because he was kind of like, stepping up to be the leader and whatnot. So it was kind of reminiscing to go back to the season 1 type feel where you're in a camp with a bunch of people with RVs around and just kind of out in the open, away from everything and away from safety, away from prison and everything like that. So right at the beginning of this episode, the governor's kind of on his own. He's kind of by himself, and he's put kind of at the bottom of the group. There's a leaky hole in one of the RVs, and Martinez basically tells the governor, "Hey, see if you can get that leaky hole fixed." And I think this kind of showed where he was at that point in time in the group, that he was on the bottom of the group. Martinez kind of put him on the bottom of the group, and I'm not sure if the governor really minded this, to be honest, because the governor right now just wants to have his family and be safe with his family. Like, that's all he wants to do. He just wants to live, and he wants to be safe and live with this new family that he has, and that's all he wants. But this whole episode, everybody in the group expects him to step up and do something. So at the beginning, we see Mitch, Pete, the two brothers, Martinez, and the governor go out into the woods. They're searching for some supplies, and this was a cool scene the way they did this, because they ran up on as they were searching for supplies, they ran up on three bodies. The first two bodies were headless, and correct me if I'm wrong. The first body was headless, up against a tree, had a sign on it that said liar. Second body said rapist, I think, and the third body had the head, blown out, looked like it had been a self-inflicted wound, and said murderer on it. So I'm not really too sure why this was put in there or anything, but I think that this might be a webisode in the future about the story, with this little group, what happened there. I think that's kind of why Scott Gimple put it in there, so Greg Nicotero could do a webisode later. Just my guess, so I'm not too sure on that. But so they go inside this cabin, and they find a bunch of beer, which is really funny because they all kind of sit around and drink beer and tell each other who they are, and so they tell each other what they did, when the outbreak happened, whatever. And I think Mitch explains that he was an ice cream truck driver, then he went into the Army. Pete followed him into the Army. Martinez was I think he was doing something with the Army or something like that too. And the governor basically just says, they ask him, what did you do when all this happened? And the governor says, survive. He doesn't go into detail or anything like that. He doesn't want anybody else to know any kind of thing of the past. He just says, all I did was survive. That's all you need to know. And so they go and they drink their beer, and they go back to the camp. And at this point in time, trying to think here. At this point in time, everybody's looking up to Martinez as the leader. So they all go back and they drink their beer, and they're all having a good time, getting drunk. And Martinez gets a little tipsy, and he decides to go up on the RV and hit some golf balls. And the governor goes up there and begins to talk to him, and they begin to share what's been going on. Martinez is saying what's been going on since they left the governor. And Martinez tells the governor, hey, we should share this leadership. You should be a leader with me. And right when he says that, the governor takes a golf club and hits him over the top of the head, pushes him off the RV, and drags him into that pit full of walkers, and feeds him to a pit full of walkers. And you guys might think, why the heck did he do that? But the reason he did that is, like I said before, he does not want to be a leader. He doesn't want people to rely on him to do anything. He has his family, and that's all he wants to do is take care of his family. He doesn't want to take care of anyone else. He doesn't want to have to do that. He did that before, and it ended up bad for Penny. And he doesn't want any of that to happen again. He doesn't want to be a leader. So anybody that tries to elect him as a leader, he's going to kill off, because he doesn't want that. And he doesn't want people looking up to him like that. So that's why he kills off Martinez. And so then they make a run later on with it was the governor, Mitch, and Pete. And they make a run back into the woods, and they see a group. They see an encampment. And right now, Pete has elected himself as the leader after all that happened. And so they see this group, and Pete, it's his job to make the decision. And Pete says, let's not kill him. We can find our own stuff. Don't even worry about it. And the governor kind of looks at him like, seriously? You're not going to go and get what you need for this group? And so they go off somewhere else, and then we find out that in the meantime, that camp got slayed out by someone. Not too sure who did that. That's something that I addressed in my CBTV episode with Zach. So make sure to watch that if you're interested in who we thought slayed out that encampment, because it wasn't the governor. Obviously, he couldn't go in there and be all silent with a knife and do it. Like, it had to be somebody else, not in that group, because the governor was with Mitch and Pete. So when they get back to the camp, the governor then kills Pete, because after seeing how weak he was in the forest, not wanting to kill that other group, not wanting to get supplies that they needed, and because they just came back with like some condensed milk and a couple squirrels, and that wasn't enough for the governor. The governor has a family to feed. He needs more than that. He needed those supplies from that camp, and somebody else has them now. So he kills off Pete and basically says, "Look, you're too weak." Well, he kills off Pete. He stabs him in the back, and later on in the episode, we see that he just ties him up and puts him underneath the water and turns him into Aqua Pete, the swimming zombie, which we see later on, which is really neat. So then he goes to tell Mitch what happened, and sees if he needs to kill Mitch, and Mitch is like, "No, I can be strong, I can be a leader." And so the governor says, "No, I'm going to be the leader. Just screw it, I'm going to be the leader." And Mitch accepts this, so Mitch gets to live. And then after you see kind of a little game between Tara and Megan. Megan goes and tells Tara, "Hey, come find me," or tag her it, not hide and seek. She goes and tags Tara and says, "Tag her it," and then Tara goes chasing her. Megan's running around and reveals some laundry that's hanging up, and there's a walker behind it, and the walker drags Megan underneath, or Megan climbs underneath the car, and the walker crawls after her. It's kind of like the Sophia type thing that happened in season 2. So we see Megan kind of turning into another Sophia here, and after that happened, the governor knew that it wasn't safe, so the governor takes Tara and Lily and Megan and leaves, or tries to leave, ends up running into a dead end full of walkers who were submerged in the mud. Now, I think somebody had to put those walkers there in the mud. Somebody had to have done that. So I think this might be the same people that have done that to the encampment. Somebody, I think, doesn't want the governor to leave. I don't know. That's just a whole different story that I'm thinking probably way too much on, but it's really interesting to think about. So the governor goes back. He knows that that's his only option, is to go back to the camp. And when he goes back to the camp, he gets everybody together and tells everybody that he has a plan to go somewhere safe. And we know by the end of this episode that where he wants to go is the prison. He wants the prison for himself. It's going to be his. He wants to take it, and that's what his mind is set on. So he tells everybody, "Hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the prison. We're going to take their stuff from them." And, well, he doesn't necessarily say this in this episode. It's what's going to happen next episode. And basically, I'm jumping the gun, jumping too far ahead. By the end of this episode, we see that the governor's now the governor again. And at the end of the episode, you see the awesome scene where he goes up and sneaks up, sees Rick and Carl minding their own business. He sees Herschel and Michonne outside the prison minding their own business. He pulls a gun up, aims it at Michonne or Herschel, whoever, and then the episode ends. And if you guys watch the preview for the mid-season finale next week, holy crap. Like I said before, if you've never seen The Walking Dead before and want to see the best episode of The Walking Dead you've ever seen, I guarantee it's going to be the mid-season finale next week. So make sure to tune into that. I'm sorry, guys, if this was kind of a rambling episode. There wasn't too much to talk about this episode. It was kind of another build-up of the governor becoming the governor and building up into what this episode 8 is going to be. So I'm going to have a lot to talk about next weekend in this episode 8. I know this video is already kind of running long, so I'm going to cut it off here. If I missed anything or you didn't enjoy this review, I do apologize. I know that this is kind of an episode where I couldn't really go into detail like my other episodes. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the episode. Tell me what you think I can do better, because I want to get the most entertaining reviews for you guys. So as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to watch that episode next week. See you guys later.